Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to another episode of Rewind with Ro. I'm your host, Ro Carter. My amazing co-host, Rob Smith. How are you, buddy?
Great, doing great,
Okay, there we go. Doing great, feeling great.
feeling
So,
good.
we wanted to get a quick show together because of the holidays this week. So, happy holidays, everybody. So just quick show. Trying to pick something out. But next week we got fire, more fire. Just fire. There's so much fire. There's a lot of stuff. Just so much fire. I got to see so many movies. Yeah. All right. Anyway, getting right into it. How you been? Week going good? Everything's
Week is going good. Just gearing up for everybody wanting me to come over their house and eat all
you
the
say
side
you go
dishes.
home for Christmas, right? You stay in LA for Thanksgiving. You go home for
It
Christmas?
depends. It depends. Sometimes I go home go to visit my family in Chicago, or I have some family in Atlanta. I have some family in North Carolina. So
But your immediate family is Chicago.
they've all spread out now between those three.
Oh, really? So if they were to congregate again, where would they congregate?
At one of those locations. So everybody's like, we'll go to
Oh,
this.
really? Okay. Because I know one like, no, we got to go here because this is the best time this time of
So
year.
it's not like we still be like, we got to go to mom and dad's house. Like, my parents will also come to like one of my siblings' houses too. So,
Mom and dad are still in Chicago?
Yeah, they're still in Chicago.
Okay. So that's what I call home base. Wherever the parents are, that's a home base.
Home base.
Okay. What's your favorite meal or favorite dish on Thanksgiving? And can you make a dish? And what is your favorite thing to make?
People usually ask me to make my collard greens to bring to the dinner.
Really?
Yes. That is my go-to dish that I like to make to bring places. I love cabbage. That's what I always look forward to. I love a good old
cabbage.
Yes, if you make it right, cabbage is bomb.
No one in the history of it, like all the things on Thanksgiving, you're the first person to ever say, you know what, man, I can't wait for that
cabbage. But look, bro, I don't eat meat, so I'm not eating turkey or chicken.
Okay. All right.
I'm not eating a ham hock. Like I'm just not.
No, but you might be a pie person. You might be the sides, like that.
Yeah, I'm a sides person.
That is a side, but I wouden't. Cabbage is not.
Give me a good old helping of cabbage with
like a lot of people say mac and cheese,
some dressing, and some mac and cheese. Yeah. I want all the good stuff. Cranberry sauce. I want all the good stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Mix it in with the stuffing,
dressing.
Okay, all right.
You say stuffing, I say dress. We ain't stuffing nothing in no turkey. It's dressing.
Dressing on the side. Okay. How many people usually show up? What's the max you've ever had?
At a Friendsgiving or a family?
The family.
Well, we have a really big family, so like we'll all get together. So like aunts and uncles, cousins, my grandparents before they passed away. Like it was a big gathering. And
40
so,
people, 30 people?
Yeah, like 30, 40, and then it goes up and down throughout the night. Mm-hmm.
Nice. We typically have, that's consistent all the time. So I'm going back to Jersey. I fly out tomorrow. And then I have to make mac and cheese. That's what I do, play. That's what I call it my ladies' mac and cheese. It's 5 cheeses, baby. That's what we do. We're like, ooh, Ro, what is that? Yes.
It better be right, Ro. It better be a little crispy on the top. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I challenge, there's always a cousin that tries to be like, oh, let me get mac and cheese. I was like, listen, we'll put the mac and cheese by each other. Whoever's plate is, we can just do it like that.
Whoever dish is empty at the end of the night.
That's what I'm saying. That's usually what happens. So I was like, seems to be a lot of yours left. She's like, mother. I was like,
so you have a big family that comes too?
Yes. So everybody's my cousins come from Boston, family from Chattanooga, Tennessee, Cleveland, Georgia. So we're all over the place coming in. So coming to Jersey, we're trying to get better now because we're getting older to like meet up earlier to like spend some more time together. And then, because it's really just one day. Everybody's trying to hang out, so it's a little tough. But hey, we're gonna make it happen. I'm there all week till Monday. I'll come back Monday. So
love it.
All right, cool. So let's get it started. Today's show, we're doing the Honorable Shyne. If you guys remember Shyne back in the day, I was gonna sing a Shyne song, and that did not. My head was like, I don't even ash dust to dust. Okay, yeah, thanks.
Let's go.
Whoa! Skilly bop, skilly bop, skilly bop, skilly bop, yo. Ding. So that was a big song back in the day. But we more infamously know Sean. Echo?
I didn't hear it. Oh, there it is.
Right? Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry. We infamously, Jesus, infamously know Shyne. Woo! From the shooting with J-Lo and Puffy in the nightclub. And so this documentary gives an intimate view of Shyne's personal growth, how he navigates fame, the infamous shooting, incarceration, Judaism, that was very interesting, and the return home to Belize and into politics. So I love how you really got to see a deep dive into who this man was. I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I wanted to get your perspective of what Shyne meant to you back then. Like when you heard the story, or your memorization of that story at that time, what exactly do you remember? And then we'll deep dive into what the facts are and what's kind of going on in there.
Well, I mean, I don't recall the intimate details of what happened back then. I remember he had the hit
Yeah,
song.
just recall whatever you think, whatever, like, yeah, I got a piece of this and I remember that. Yeah, just
that's the era that I grew up in, that era of hip hop, right? So of course that was a part of the soundtrack of my youth. But also I remember when he got arrested and when he went to prison, I remember it being a big deal, but it just wasn't like I wasn't as invested in it as people who may have been like in New York in the heat of like hip hop. I wasn't that invested in it, but I remember when it happened, and I remember being like, "Oh, dang, his music is dope," and we lost him to jail. So I remember that, but I didn't remember the intimate details of the shooting, the case with Diddy, all of that. I wasn't really that super into it back then. So watching this was a good refresher.
So that was my first year in college. 97 when that happened. And so I remember that going down, especially being from New York. But I remember it was really J-Lo and Diddy. And then remembering Diddy was like, oh, and then J-Lo was like, I'm done with this. I'm out. It was just crazy out of that relationship. And then it went to the point she's like, I can't do this anymore. And that was crazy. To see J-Lo's mugshot, I didn't even know she took a mugshot because it was really just emphasis on Diddy and Shyne. And so you didn't really know. And then who had the gun, and someone had the gun in the car. And so you always hearing from rumors, yeah, Diddy definitely, because the girl said, hey, he shot me in the face. And and for some reason, Shyne took all the heat for it. So at that time, other stories were unfolding. Oh, that's what Puffy does. He did that to Biggie. Oh, he did. Oh, he was involved in the Tupac shooting too. So like all these things came out around that. Excuse me?
Allegedly, I have to say. Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Sorry, again, just I'm telling you what we heard as kids, and I was like, wow, it was just a crazy time. Now, I'm from Staten Island, Wu-Tang all day, so Shyne was making his career bigger than it was in some of these instances when he was talking about it. I'm like, man, you were big, but I don't remember you being that big. I was like, well, you know, he goes into it, man, I was the hottest thing, and I was like, yeah, you had like one or two songs, but I don't remember him being that level. So again, it's like going back in time, and I'm like, really? Was he really like everybody was knocking down his door to sign him and stuff? So it was very interesting to see his side of the story. When it gets to the technical stuff, that's when I was like, wow, you know, I don't know if I could do that. I don't think. No, I know. I'm sorry. Let me take it back. I know I wouldn't do that. You know, I'm not taking the heat for anybody. He's got screwed across the board. He came from a tough childhood and being brought up in Belize, and then his relationship with his dad, and then later that bond with his mom, and then just kind of letting him down. He got shot when he was younger. So all these things are happening to him, a young Shyne that kind of molds the man he becomes later to the point of that situation that night. Could have been prevented. And I don't know. I mean, I wonder how much does hip hop play in, you know, as you watch this, you're reminding of like what hip hop was, right? Hip hop was gangster rap. That's what it was. It wasn't like R&B and chilling and like Kool and the Gang and stuff like that. You know, it was more aggressive, and the more aggressive you were, the more hits you got, and the hotter you were, the hotter your group was. And so it was I remember that it was a weird time. Like music was great, but it wasn't fun going out all the time, man. You had to like watch your neck and watch your back. what was your perspective, especially growing up around that time, and just the music industry and what you thought about that and hip hop music to you?
Well, I always gravitated towards more of the Common, Diggable Planets.
Yeah, exactly. That underground stuff. You're Chicago. Yeah, that's you.
Chicago. So I wasn't super. I mean, I listened to it and I owned the album, so I had like Jay-Z's album, and I had I had everybody from Bad Boy. I had all the Little Kim's albums. I had the music, but mainly the stuff that was in rotation for me heavy was more the like neo soul, spoken word type of direction of hip hop. So so I wasn't really like a club head. Like I wasn't like out in the streets like that. So it didn't affect me as much.
Rob was in his books?
I was in my books.
Oh, there you go, Rob. Okay. What did you think about his story coming from Belize to America and growing up as a kid?
I was glad that the documentary was about him. It was not about the incident in the club. It was not about his contentious relationship with Diddy. It was not about any of that. It was about him and his rise to stardom, his fall, and then his journey to get to where he is today. And I thought that they did a really, really good job of encapsulating everything from his childhood in Belize to moving to New York to trying to find his way in a very positive way, like with his messenger job that he had where he was writing about New York, and then moving into the music industry and then transitioning now to politics. So I thought they did a really, really great job of weaving that story together, and it flows seamlessly. And it was a really, really well told documentary.
Yeah, it was. It did flow a lot. It was interesting to see, like, he was always a good kid, though. That's the toughest part. Because, the time he got shot as a young kid, he was like, listen, the guys that were his boys, he's like, listen, he was a hoodlum, but if you were from the neighborhood, he was protecting you. If your car was getting broken into, if your house was getting broken into, he would confront people. And I was like, okay, so he was always about that. And so I don't know. It's an interesting human being that is, right? To be like, hey, I love my community. Even though I'm still wilding out, I still care about my community and who we are. So you kind of see it come full circle when he goes back to Belize at the end and be like, hey, I still love my people and care about my people. But I think he needed that reminder. Unfortunately, it was going to prison, but, he needed that reminder to kind of understand. My only gripe is doing 8 years for not being a rat. And I wish they would have asked him in the interview, like, hey, would you do it again? Because he's like, hey, because later on, Diddy sends out a cease and desist order, right? And so they talk about a little bit about that during the documentary. And he's like, yeah, he reached out to me. Hey, like, they're talking again. Are we cool? Or what's going on? I was like, bro, he reached out to you? I was like, that's crazy. And so he's like, I'm not doing this again. And I was like, you shouldn't have done it from the get-go. We wouldn't be in this situation, right?
I agree. And I it's such a weird concept to me. I don't understand this idea of it's another one of those things where we've allowed ourselves as a culture to believe that that's the right thing to do. Like you will take the fall for somebody and ruin your life because you don't want to be labeled a snitch and you didn't do something. Like that is so crazy to me.
I am snitching. I am snitching. If it wasn't me.
I don't understand that mindset to throw your life away so somebody else can thrive because you just don't want to label. But they did a crime, they committed a crime or participated in a crime that had nothing to do with you. Like, and you'll take the fall for it. That is absurd.
Well, let's hold on. And let's not. It did have something to do with him. He did shoot.
Pull out a gun.
So again, he was saying it was self-defense, which I don't know why the lawyers didn't argue that to begin with.
Well, we do, and they laid out in the documentary why they didn't do it. Like his attorneys were provided.
No, I know, but for it just baffles my mind that it just the first thing out of my mouth, like, no, self-defense. Okay, bye, lawyer. I'm getting another one. He said he tried to do that, but I'm like, what are we doing? Try, make it happen.
No, you don't make it happen if everybody's paid off.
Yeah,
that was clear.
I forgot when he got Cochran. That was huge, right? That changed the whole entire case. Once he got Cochran,
he said he went to the judge too. They went to the judge multiple times saying, "Can you change the lawyer?"
It's great. Everybody got paid. Judge got paid too.
That is, I didn't. I'm saying
no. I'm just asking hypothetics. That's what it seems like. It seems like he never had a chance.
Wouldn't be the first time. Wouldn't be the last time.
Yes, it seemed like he never had a chance. What else about Shyne? So he does the time in prison. He actually becomes bigger at the time because they dropped the album. So the biggest thing was like he was his relationships were crazy. So he signs with Bad Boy, right? They hear about him. Hey, this is young kid. You know, he's great. You got to sign him. Everybody wants to sign him. He's the first to have a bidding war without having an album, which Nori's like, that is unheard of in hip hop. Like, it just doesn't happen. He's like, I got paid $5,000 and I had an album. And I was like, then I got paid in the back end. But he was like, did I have an album? And everybody's like bidding millions of dollars. Like, this guy's going to get between 2 to 4 million just to start. It was like unheard of. Crazy money back then. And so he gets reached out by Cohen. And Cohen's like, hey, come sign with us. And he's like, but you can be your own man. And then Puffy's situation is, hey, I got you. When you're with Bad Boy, you're family, right? And so I love the honesty and Shyne to say, hey, you know what? I wasn't mentally ready to go my own direction. I needed some kind of backup, a plan where someone already had it in place. And it's not, this is not fully in the documentary. I watched him on The Breakfast Club in the morning, and he was talking about that. He was like, hey, you know, deep dive, I wasn't ready for that. I just wasn't ready to be my own person. And so I knew if I signed with Bad Boy, they would have my back, and it was already set up, and I can learn from that and use that later. So I love that he was honest about that. Hey, I already knew what I was getting. I didn't know what I was getting into, but I knew if I went with this person that I had a better shot at being successful. I was like, okay, that's honesty. And he was like, you know, I wouldn't change anything either. I was like, okay, that's honesty too. So it's really just about him kind of, you know, bringing out the weapon later, but that's because of his childhood, right? Getting beat upside his head. The people he was trying to hang out with. What was the Puffy and the family? What's the Mafia? Junior Mafia. They were jumping him and trying to shoot him up at a club in front of Diddy's house. I didn't like that they called Diddy's house Daddy's house. That was weird to me during this documentary, and a lot of people did Daddy's house, and I'm like, that is a red flag right off the bat. Daddy's house. I've never called, not even my own dad, my own father. I'm not calling Daddy's. Hey, we going to Daddy's house? No. We're not going to. No one's going to Daddy's house. So that's very interesting in the documentary. But you know, that kind of led his path into being friends with Little C's. So they kind of squashed the beef in prison. Rikers Island for 8 years. 10 years was originally served, but it got down to 8. Is crazy. And during the 90s too. I don't know if you know anything about Rikers Island. I would. Nope, not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Somebody tell me where we're going.
Back to the point you made earlier, where you were talking about his journeys to being discovered. That was a very interesting part of the journey in the documentary for me, because it really solidified that hustler mentality is really what gave him the edge. Mm-hmm. Because he would go up to anybody who he thought might know somebody in the industry and be like, yo, I'm a rapper. I'm the best rapper you ever heard. I'm the best rapper you're going to ever hear. And he hustled his way into the door and ran into the right person on the street. And I really loved watching that and hearing that, because I think you see that kind of energy or that kind of drive in a lot of people who have come from circumstances where they feel like they have to fight to eat or fight to survive. Had that hustle mentality, because, you know, seeing his mom hustle to bring him to the States and wanting to be successful for her and wanting to build for her, like, he really did have that drive. And it was interesting to see how every person he came in contact with still to this day was like, yo, and when you heard him rap, it was something about it that was like, you felt it in your soul. And they would immediately make phone calls like, you got to meet this kid that I just met. You got to meet this kid that I just met. And I loved how that resonated through the entire documentary about his beginnings or his foundation in getting his footing in the world of hip hop.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, because he sounded like Biggie, that was the big altercation with Junior Mafia and signing with Diddy. Is like, hey, you know, you sound like Puffy, but you sound like Biggie, but you're not Biggie, right? And so he's like, bro, I'm myself. I'm just sounding like myself. So that was a big altercation down the line. I don't think do you think he sounded like Biggie? Or?
They talk about what the real altercation was about when he came into Bad Boy.
Well, yes, and then I'm going to get into that. And then also he was messing around with Brandy,
who was with Mace.
Who was with Mace at the time, which I'm like, and I apologize for this because my initial was like, oh, Brandy. But I'm like, Mace was wilding out too back then. He probably had like 20 chicks around him. So I'm like, I apologize, Brandy, because my thoughts like you can't just be with Mace. You gotta be with Shyne too. And I was like, Mace was wilding out.
Brandy she was a superstar. She could have on it.
And that was great when he was. I love his honesty too. Shyne again was like Brandy checked him. He wouldn't say Brandy, but he's like, hey, this young lady. He was on the Breakfast Club again when I watched his interview, and he was talking about. He's like, yeah, this young lady I was messing with at the time checked me and said, hey man, you ain't even got an album yet. You talking crap? And I was like, yo, I was like, that is so. And then to find out it was Brandy that like checked you. And Brandy, people forget Brandy at the time. Yo, Brandy was the hottest thing. You can touch Brandy.
She was.
She was the Black Britney Spears at the time.
Her own right. Yeah, she was on top of her game.
He was on top. You couldn't tell Brandy nothing. Exactly. And she's spending time with you. You ain't got no album. Come on, man. Come on. So anyway, he serves the time, and when he comes out, he gets shipped to Belize. So I was like, that's gangster. And so they take away his citizenship, ship him to Belize, and he has to figure his life out and kind of goes from there. So he decides to go to Jerusalem, and to Israel, and kind of figure out what Judaism is, what religion, what faith means to him. I love this because this moment reminded me of a couple of people. It reminded me of Malcolm X when he makes his pilgrimage, right? And then he learns really about what it means to be a Muslim and all that stuff. And then, so I love that he's honest. Like, you know what? I thought it was about faith and religion. No, it's about just treating people equally. And I found out the more and more I move up and meet people that they weren't letting me into their circle. They'll take my money, but I couldn't marry into their family or anything like that. So I was like, yeah, welcome. That's what it is. So I was glad he spoke on that, because sometimes that's like, oh no, we don't speak about that. Also explaining the Black Jew. He's not the first Black Jew. There's more than one. They've been on for centuries. And so I love the confusion. What a lot of people think is they drop Christianity and then switch to Judaism, and that's not the case. And so I love that they kind of explain that a little bit. That can go into a whole nother thing, but I love they just keep it short and sweet and just explain that. So if you want to look into that more, you can. But that was a big opening for him. It also reminded me of Tiffany Haddish, how she switched to that. But she's a female, so I don't know if that's a lot easier for her to kind of marry into that versus a Black male or a person from Belize switching over. I just don't know if the males of the male Jews are really accepting that. And
but also he wasn't in America; he was in Israel. So it's like he's in Israel. He's from Belize. He's Jewish. He's not. They're not just like, oh, let's bring this Black man back home. Like that's.
But he got love when he was there, though. A lot of people were like, hey, oh my God, I know this guy Shyne. Like he was like a little celebrity there.
He got love because he was a hip hop artist who they recognized when they loved his music. That don't mean they want you to marry their daughters.
Yeah,
that's the point. He was like, I can be everything to them, but at the same time, there was rabbis questioning, oh, he's not really Jewish. And he said he went through the whole process to the point where he got circumcised in his 30s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you. I forgot. Damn. I was like, grown man getting circumcised? Come on, man.
Where he's getting circumcised in his 30s, and these rabbis are still like, he ain't Jewish enough because he's Black. And like he
keep it real.
He realized that, so he was like this. He didn't want to consume himself with religion either. He also brought that up. He was like, the overconsumption of anything, in his opinion, was not a good thing.
But I think the only reason why he saw that because of what happened.
Yeah.
If that didn't happen like that, I think he would have dove full head in.
Maybe.
So I don't know. We might have a guest. We might not. Yeah, join in. Sorry, that was our guest. We're just trying to get her on and trying to go. So sorry about that. But yeah, that's a great point there. Let me get on. Hold on 1 second. She said 15 minutes. The show's going to be over 15 minutes.
No, I said 15.
15. Anything else? Yeah, so that was his struggle, kind of going through that, which is interesting. And then the circumcision was diabolical. I was like a grown man getting circumcision just to really fit into the faith, but then opening up his eyes and realizing that, hey, it's bigger than that. You know, it's about loving one another and caring for people. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a valid point. And then he decides, you know what, let me get into politics. And he kind of sets a name for himself, and which I wish the Democratic Party would learn from. Everybody that spoke about Shyne, they said the reason why the people voted for him, shocked that he won, is because he was about the people first. He gave back.
I don't understand the equation you're making to the Democratic Party, but go ahead.
Can I?
Yeah, go
ahead. We can't force a person on people.
What do you mean?
Obama was not forced. He was from grassroots. I'm telling you, I'm comparing him. I'm letting you know right now.
Well, I'm gonna.
You can agree to disagree. Let me finish though. Yeah. We forced people on, like, this is the person. We forced Hillary. We forced Kamala at switching after in the middle. I'm saying this is grassroots. So I think people need to have a feeling about somebody, and that's how people back and support. When you force a person to be like, oh, this is going to be the face, I think it's harder to get people to buy into that versus if someone just say, hey, you know what? What's going on here? Who's this person? Like, okay, let me look them up. Oh, wow, they're doing this, they're doing that. Oh, now I can kind of get an idea of who they are versus like, no, we're going to say this is the person for this group who's going to provide.
I disagree with you. That was a Republican rhetoric that was put out there about the circumstance that happened. I don't want to get into politics because we can go all night about it.
This is my opinion. My opinion. You know,
but because I think these are two completely different things. What I think did happen, what I think was great there, is, to your point, he was in the street and people saw their life changing through his actions. So they saw, okay, if I'm hungry, he gives me money. If my kids are struggling, he's created a program in our community where they're giving backpacks to the kids to go to school. I think it was a completely different circumstance. And also, they talk about this too, and you hear it from both sides of the political parties there. His father was a politician and his uncle was high up in the party that he is now the leader of as well. So they wanted to point, like, some of his opposition, he's the leader of the opposition party, and some of them wanted to point out, oh, he made it there through nepotism. But other politicians who worked with him are like, he actually did the work. Like, he was in the street doing the work. He was touching the people, and people saw their lives changing for the better. And I think also another thing that they touch on was that he also has a way and a voice of connecting with young people, and the young people were in the streets.
They were gravitating to him.
Yeah. And they had been moving in a direction of violence. And I think he was more relatable to them because he was a rapper and now he's a politician and he's in the street and he's helping somebody. And they see in him the ability to be something different than what the path that they were taking. So I do think that matters and that's important. But the other thing is different. I think the other thing is quite different. One, they were never going to vote for that white woman. And two, they were never going to vote for a black woman before they voted for a white woman. So that was completely different. I don't think either of them were forced down our throats. And if you're a person who sees and knows what's going on in your world, she's been in politics for the
of course.
So this is not a new person. That's just a rhetoric that they want us to believe is reality, and to be like, oh, they stole this from Joe Biden and forced her down the throat. No,
I don't think. Listen, we're not gonna go deep dive in this, but point is, I think a better say on what can happen at the time. Again, if you really want to go deep into it, Biden should have stepped down when he said he was. Did his term and be like, I'm out. And so that kind of messed up everything to begin with. So unfortunately, we're in the situation we are in. Hopefully, can't wait. January.
We'll see what happens.
Boom. We know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, but
is Koku coming in?
She's not there yet, but I think she's coming. But I did love that entire aspect of it. I did love the entire aspect of it, that we got to deep dive into the political side of it too. And we got to see him in action So, immediately I'm like Googling, I'm like, when is the next election? So we can see if he's going to become the prime minister. Like I'm really invested now to see, and just to hear him even talking briefly about his vision for Belize and his vision for like developing and making it more of a tourist attraction so that, it can bring, so I don't think we have a guest coming. So I think that it's great. I'm excited to see what's to come of it. And yeah, like I started to do a little deep dive and do some research, but I really think they did a very, very good job at fully pulling this documentary together from top to bottom.
Yeah, it was a good documentary. You got some insights. If you didn't know anything about Belize, you learned a lot about that, which I had to Google. I was like, where the hell is Belize? I have no idea. And so that was helpful. That was nice. So if you go to Cancun, just keep on going down, go right into that bad boy. So a lot of people don't know it's right there. So that was interesting to know. And there are beautiful beaches around there too. Listen to some of Shyne's interviews right now. He talks about some nice places to go visit and stuff like that. So it's slowly coming together. I also love how he spoke about everybody's asking, hey, would you perform anymore? It's like, yeah, I keep on getting asked, but I don't want to do it because I'm in this political power now and I don't want my people to be confused. And I was like, wow, that's huge because that's kind of like who you were identify as. But now you've grown so much, like I don't need that anymore. That helped me get to here. He's like, unless it's monumental, like you perform with Puffy again, which is crazy to me, how you still perform with this dude, but it is what it is. I wouldn't want to be seen with him just because of all, especially now, so those things you just never know.
This hadn't come out yet.
Yeah, I know. So at the time you didn't think, but if you just knew, and then the Cassie situation, so who's to believe, and then to come to find out later that he was bragging about, allegedly Puffy was bragging about, hey, I'm the reason I was shooting up the place, and I had Shyne take the fall, and that kind of messes you all up. You're just like, what? In the beginning of the doc, you see him sit down. Yeah, in the beginning of the doc, you see him sit down with Puffy and Puffy's son, and he's talking about, hey, there's this moment. He's like, yo, if you can knock this out the box, it's going to change your life. And he was like, I hit it. And he sees who's the guy who does the sound. And he was like, we'll get him Barrington Levy in there and we're going to kill it. And it's crazy. The genius of Puff, I'll give him this. He saw it. He was like, listen, that's one thing at that time. Puff was just like, he could do whatever he wanted. He was MJ. He could do whatever the hell he wanted because he saw the vision. And so to see that in Shyne, like in that song, like, wow, you saw that, and then you saw Barrington Levy coming in on that. Like, it's masterful. It really is when you think about that. And I'm like, wow. And they're sitting down talking about having a glass of wine, and you would think like, and then this happens now. So it's just crazy. You just never know. So it's just a reminder to be a wholesome human being and stay true to who you are. And
what else was crazy to me was how he got passed around essentially from every big label, because originally he was brought to the table and then they put him in front of Jay-Z, and Jay-Z.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
Jay-Z did not like the way that he approached him. So Jay-Z was like, he threw the
tape out the window. What do you?
And then Diddy finds out that another person was going to sign him, and Diddy's like, no, you're not going to sign whoever's supposed to be the hottest in the street. So he took him.
Yeah.
And then after the case, when he went to jail, Def Jam was like, well, we'll sign him while he's in jail because he's the hottest in the street. So it's kind of interesting to see that he got like passed around but through all of the major labels at that time. And they briefly touch on it, how street cred at the time in that era of hip hop was like the thing that was the selling ticket for everyone. So him being in jail made him even more attractive. So they're like, we're going to sign you in prison. So, it was just that.
You remember 50 got shot up like what, 10 times?
Exactly.
It was like, another album dropped, I was like, bro, this guy, I was like, it was crazy back then. I was like, you got to grow out of that. You would think people will learn at this point. Kids still die, just stupid stuff. It's like you can have fun, but you don't got to be all brolic and stuff. So it's very interesting. Honestly, I would recommend this documentary. It's free. It's on Hulu. Check it out. Kind of do your thing. So sorry, our guest did not show tonight. It was going to be Koku. She actually did the interview. She went along with one of our other coworkers to the premiere. So that is on blackfilm.com. So if you want to see that, definitely check that out. And thank you. Anything you want to add?
No, I just think everyone should definitely check out the documentary. Like you said, I think it was very well done. And again, I want to emphasize that it's not a documentary about the moment in the nightclub. It's not a documentary about the relationship with Diddy. It's not that. It's really a document about this man's journey from his childhood to his decision to go into politics post music and post prison. And it's very well told. So I think everyone should check it out.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you told me a young poor kid from Belize who's going to make it into politics after all that and have a luxurious career, I'd be like, get a line, get out of here. But, hey, man, it goes to show you, man, you can become anything in this world. So you just got to put your mind to it. That's it. Next week, we have 3 options. We'll do 2. Three movies are crazy. I can't do 3 movies. We'll spread it out. Yeah, I can't do 3 movies.
So what are we doing? The Piano Lesson and Wicked?
Or we do Gladiator. Piano Lesson is definitely, and then you choose either Wicked or Gladiator.
Do you want to do 2 Denzel movies, or do you want to do 1 Denzel movie and something else?
Ooh, we want to double Denzel?
But then we do Wicked later?
Yeah, we do Wicked the following. You want to do double Denzel and Wicked the following?
Sure.
Or you want to balance? You want to just do a little balance and then do
a little.
You want to give Wicked its own show? You want to give Gladiator its own show?
Let's do 2 Denzel and no, let's not. I don't want to give Wicked its own show.
Okay, so let's give Gladiator its own, unless you want to give what's the name its own and give Gladiator and Wicked.
I guess we can figure that out.
All right, but those are the 3 movies that'll be coming to you in December. So everybody have happy holidays. Thanks for tuning in. Rob, stay amazing. Keep that figure going.
I'm working on it. Got this.
You better look like a freaking Ken doll come the summer.
Summer.
I don't want to. If I see, man, I'm gonna be commenting on your stuff. Like
it will be out there.
Tuck it in, player. Tuck it in. All right, everybody. Thank you again. Have a great night. Happy holidays. Happy Thanksgiving.
Peace.
Peace.
Happy